Everybody, so my name's Gannon Brochin. I'm going to be your instructor for the course that you are taking with me. I have been with Brian Stratton almost 5 years now. I used to live in Buffalo, which is how I became acquainted with the college. My wife also teaches at Brian Stratton in the business department. So be careful when typing in our my email address. As hers does come up if you just search the last name as well. Yeah, I've been with Brian Stratton almost 5 years. I primarily teach the HCAS courses, specifically human disease and drug pharmacology and electronic health records, but I have taught every single one of the HCAS courses. So I'm well versed in everything that is in those courses and have lots of resources pertaining to all of the HCAS courses. So you'll sometimes see in courses where I will post stuff related to other courses, especially disease and drug pharmacology. You'll see my A&P videos posted in that to help review. And you may also see me post things like terminology references and things like that because, our HCAS courses essentially build on each other. So, more about me. I have my doctorate of chiropractic, and I also have a master's degree in applied sports science, which I used to do that sort of work full time. Currently, I work here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, actually, I work in Chapel Hill, but I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I work full-time at the University of North Carolina. I work in the School of Medicine, in physical medicine and rehabilitation. I primarily do research for UNC, and my research is really focused on the nervous system in musculoskeletal rehab. So I've done a lot of work with anterior cruciate ligaments, so ACLs, but I also do a lot of neurocognitive work. So the easiest way to summarize that is neurocognition is kind of how we interpret the world around us and then use that information to make choices and decisions, okay? And in the context of rehabilitation, really how can we manipulate the environment that we're in and manipulate the stimuli that a person receives to enhance their rehabilitation, right? So that's really where my interest and my passion is. I also have a couple other passions in research that are a lot smaller, but yeah. So that's where I work full time. Outside of being a part-time professor at Brian Stratton. In the past, I've done some cool stuff with Olympic athletes and Division I athletes. I used to be a sports scientist and a strength conditioning coach, on top of being an exercise physiologist, which, those are all just fancy words for doing a lot of training and testing of high-performance athletes. My big bragging piece with that is I did have an athlete that I work with who went to the 2018 Korea Winter Olympics, and he was the first American to ever medal in the luge, as interesting as that might sound. So that's kind of my super fun, obscure fact. I was part of his testing team, but I do still work with some athletes here in the Raleigh area. More recently, I started working with some professional groups in a private capacity. Can't mention who or what groups, as I do have an NDA for that. But it is some interesting work and is very different than working with the quote-unquote normal people that you would see in a clinic every day. But yeah, so when it comes to how I like to run a course, you might see some of this information in your course introductory videos, but my biggest thing is communication. So, if your assignments are going to be late, please just send me an email beforehand. Let me know. I'm more than happy to work with anybody. You shoot me an email Thursday, Friday, and just say, hey, I need an extra day or two. Great. I'm happy to work with you, right? But again, don't abuse that privilege, and don't, with everything due Saturday night, don't email me the following Wednesday and ask for an extension, because you won't get it, right? An email takes 5 to 10 seconds to send, especially because I don't expect a full paragraph explaining everything going on. You can just simply say, hey, Dr. B, I need an extra day or two. Thanks. That's it. That's all I need. I'm more than happy to work with you. You're all adults. I'm an adult. I work with other students on a regular basis. I work with other professionals on a regular basis. I have patients, and I completely understand that things come up at the last minute. Things come up that you never planned for. Just communicate, right? Communicate. And I will do the same with you. Especially if something crazy happens, right? So, with that in mind, again, also when you have questions for a course, don't struggle in silence, especially now that we have Blackboard Ultra, which is very different than what a lot of you will have been used to going through the college up till now. A lot of it is still the same, but it just looks different, right? Things are going to be organized slightly differently, and it's new for us as instructors too. So, it is what it is. It's the hand we're dealt. We have to work through it, right? So, how Blackboard Ultra impacts your specific class, though, that's something I discuss in the introductory video for your specific class, okay? Really, this video has just got a video of me up in the corner with my Blackboard homepage as it is right now, just sitting here. So there's really nothing to watch. I should have said this at the start. You could just listen if you wanted to. But ultimately, that's all I have to say at this point. I'm looking forward to having all of you in my class. I'm a big proponent of trying to teach you. You'll find that I'm a very straightforward person in terms of how I offer the feedback, things like that. I like to just get down to business and get moving on things, right? So again, don't be afraid to ask any questions. I'm also going to be available, via email. You can also message me on Teams. Messaging on Teams is pretty much the exact same thing as texting, right? So that's my version of texting for teaching. You can message me on Teams. And then, the Ask Your Instructor forums in your course are going to be very helpful for anything about, questions about assignment direction, or if you have a question about the feedback you've received, anything like that, right? It's a great place to put that sort of information, sort of questions, right? And if there is a situation where we do ever need a meeting, that will obviously be held through Microsoft Teams, because that is the program that Brian Stratton uses for those sorts of things, right? I do like to also highlight, please ensure all of your communication is through your Brian Stratton account. Due to FERPA, FERPA is essentially the education law that is basically HIPAA, but for educational information. I will not respond to non-Brian Stratton emails if they're asking anything about a student or anything like that. Even if the email is your name, it doesn't matter. It's to protect not just me, but really you, the student. When I know that the message is coming from your account, I know that it is you, or at least somebody that you have authorized to use your account and therefore see your information. It's really to protect everybody. Now, you might get a message back from me saying, hey, I can't message this. I can't answer this question to this email, but I'll answer it in a response to your regular email. I often do that. But please ensure that you use your Brian Stratton accounts for any sort of communication. That includes Teams as well, because there is a non education or work version of Teams. There's a personal version as well, and you're able to message people across the different versions, but it's more complicated than it needs to be. But make sure you're using your Bryant and Stratton accounts in general for any communication. Okay, it protects all of us, and it keeps your information safe, as we have a certain level of security on all of these things. As you'll see, you log in, you have your two-factor, all of that stuff. It's really there to keep your information safe. It's to protect you, the school, and all of your professors, right? So that's everything that I have for this generic introduction video. If you have any questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out and ask via the methods I already described, okay?